I think hidden costs are a couple things. So there's, like I mentioned before, you have the cost to manufacture your product or the cost of the service you might have to produce your product. So that ultimately gets you down to the margin of your product or service. And then you have your general and administrative costs and sales costs. There's a lot of there's hidden costs in both. One is, understanding if you have the first is having a process to understand how much does it cost me to make my product or provide my service. If it's a service-based organization, understanding how to run lean with your team, but without overhiring or underhiring. So what's the approach to ensure I have the right level of people to maximize my profitability there? On
All right, guys, welcome to the Winner Circle podcast. I'm your host, Jay. I'm thrilled to have somebody very interesting join us today. And we're going to be talking about the hidden cost draining your business and how to fix them. Today, we have somebody very interesting, Jason Kruger, a partner at Citrin Cooperman and a seasoned business advisor with over 2 decades of experience, helping leaders strengthening their financial performance. He specializes in bringing clarity to accompanying financials, transforming chaotic or incomplete data into accurate strategic insight that drive better decision making. As the founder of Signature Analytics and now a partner at Citrin Cooperman, Jason has helped businesses of all sizes cut unnecessary costs, improve their reporting, enhance operational efficiency, and build stronger financial foundations. His work centers on helping executives understand the real stories their numbers are telling so they can reduce waste. Remember the word reduce waste. And not just only reduce waste, optimize cash flow and boost profitability. So in today's conversation, Jason would break down the hidden cost most companies overlook. That means the biggest financial blind spot leaders face and practical steps businesses can take to strengthen their financial position immediately. So join us as we uncover where companies lose money without realizing it and how strategic clarity can transform business performance from inside out. So let's dive in. Hi, Jason. How are you doing today?
Hey, Jay, thanks for having me. I'm doing well. How about you?
Yeah, I'm great. Right here, trying to get started in a very cold morning right here in New York. So how about you? How cold is it out there?
Not too bad. I'm in San Diego, so it's a little chilly in the morning, but not chilly compared to New York probably. So I think it's probably in the 50s or low 60s would be chilly right now. So pretty nice day though when I look outside.
Fair enough. So let's just dive in right now. And before we dive in, can you share what sparked your passion for helping business understand? I mean, just not businesses and entrepreneurs and leaders understand their financial story.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, when I got into accounting and finance, not because I love accounting and finance, I got in because I wanted to get in the business community and the business world. And I knew that, the foundation of business is the numbers. If you don't understand the numbers, it's going to be very difficult to grow and achieve success within a business. I think, in a lot of ways, business owners are able to get to a certain point without fully understanding or getting good financial information. But if they ultimately want to get to that next level of success, the goals that they really have, in their mind when they started the business, ultimately they're going to have to learn some level of financial acumen. And that involves, anything from ensuring that you're more profitable, you can manage your cash flows. If you want to get outside financing from a bank, you have to have good financial information. If you want to bring in investors, the first thing they're going to ask for is, let me see your financials. And then also if ultimately you want to sell your business, the most important thing is going to be your financial information. And so working with companies, and what we've done is work with companies over the last 20 plus years to support the process of how do they maximize the value of their business so that they are prepared for an exit at some point if they want to exit. But just best practice, if you're maximizing the value of your business, you're more profitable, you have a good understanding of your financials and so on.
All right. Thank you for sharing that information. And I'm sure our listeners are enjoying the conversation. And if you look at your profile, you've worked with companies of all sizes for over 20 years, which is a great thing. What is the most common financial mistake businesses make earlier on?
Yeah, I think so. Number one, the most important thing up front is understanding your cash flows. So understanding how the cash moves through your business. I've seen companies that have grown so fast they've outgrown their cash, and they can't make payroll, right? And so I think understand number one is making sure you understand your cash flow. The second is make sure you have discipline to get good financial information every single month. That way that you're able to understand the costs of your business, you understand the margins of your business, and you're able to understand the trends of what's happening in your business, so that ultimately you can make decisions to improve those trends over a period of time. And so those are probably the two main things. And digging down, as you talked about the hidden costs of a business, there's two main parts. There's the margin. In other words, if I'm selling a product, how much am I selling it for, and how much did it cost me to make or produce? The difference is your margin. How do I maximize that margin and that margin percentage? And how do I dig in so I can understand that margin to a within 1 percentage point? Because if you get to a business of, let's say, a $10 million revenue business, 1 percentage point in margin is equal to $100,000. And that goes straight to the bottom line. So if I can improve my margin by 1% on a $10 million business, I now have $100,000 more in my pocket to reinvest in my business, or for employee appreciations, or whatever it might be. So those are the things that are those are some of the things that are critical for when you're kind of getting started in a business.
All right, thank you for sharing. But I have a listener here, in one of our live platform right now. They asked that question: when you talk about hidden costs, what exactly do you mean? Is it
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. I think hidden costs are a couple things. So there's, like I mentioned before, you have the cost to manufacture your product, or the cost of the service you might have to produce your product. So that ultimately gets you down to the margin of your product or service. And then you have your general and administrative costs and sales costs. There's a lot of there's hidden costs in both. One is, understanding, the first is having a process to understand how much does it cost me to make my product or provide my service. If it's a service-based organization, understanding how to run lean with your team, but without overhiring or underhiring. So what's the approach to ensure I have the right level of people to maximize my profitability there? On the below the line, what I see a lot of hidden costs in technology these days. Everybody's excited about the latest technology. They may sign up for it. Technology can be expensive. And then, as we all know, it's, recurring, and we get charged every single month. And so just having a cursory overview of your tech stack is very important to review and say, hey, am I using these costs, or am I using this product? Am I using this service now? And does it make sense for my business? And so what I recommend is, at a minimum, on an annual basis, as part of, hopefully there's some sort of annual budgeting process, is a deep dive review into the expenses of the business. You have your personnel costs, or your people costs is one. And then you have everything else, which might be your rent or lease costs, your technology costs, as I mentioned, your sales and marketing costs. And then taking a deep dive and going through each line item and saying, okay, are these costs adding value to my business today? In a lot of cases, what we found is there's costs that are embedded in the business that may be related to an initiative that the company started several years ago that they're not focused on anymore, and they're still incurring those costs, and they're not getting any value out of that. So every cost in the business, we want to make sure that it is providing value and it's aligned with the goals that we have for this business. There's a lot of costs out there that are not necessarily doing that. And that includes understanding marketing. As I mentioned before, marketing can be very valuable, but it can also be a black hole. So understanding your business enough to identify, am I getting a return on my marketing spend? What is my ROI? Business development and sales team. How do I manage the business development team and sales team to ensure I'm getting an ROI? Those are types of things when you take a deeper look, which is ensuring that not only are you incurring the cost, but what is the value or ROI you're getting? ROI meaning return on my investment that I am getting for every cost that I have within my business. That involves, when you talk about personnel, is everybody adding value to the business? It can be very personnel and letting somebody go can be very challenging. But if somebody was brought on for one aspect of the business and the business isn't focused in that area anymore, are they adding value? And so it's time to look at the different people you have within your organization to ensure that you are maximizing value from that perspective.
Right.
The first step is making sure you have good financial information. So do I have good financials, historical financials that I can trust? And so, if you don't, it's hard that you're kind of running blind. So do I have up-to-date current financial information? Am I getting that every single month? That will allow me to review my financial information and understand the trends of the business. So that's number one. Number two then is to make sure you have a roster and an understanding of each member of your team, meaning your employees, and what their responsibilities are to ensure that they're aligned with and driving value to your business. Then from there, we can start to build out a budget for the next 12 months where we can identify what costs we've been incurring and what costs we need to incur as we look forward into the next 12 months associated with the business. So we talked about technology costs. Now let's identify what technologies are we using, what technologies are we not using, what do we need to use, and let's make sure we cancel or remove the technologies that we don't need anymore, because that could be extremely expensive. You're talking could be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let's make sure that we review, our real estate, our rent. With after the post-COVID era, we have a lot of companies that have more real estate or more office space than they need. So what is the plan as it relates to our office space? Do we need that office space? Should we be looking at, when does our lease end, and where is there opportunity to either renegotiate, downsize if we need to, or in some cases, companies are going fully remote. So those are also opportunities that we saw within our business before we joined Citrin Cooperman. Is we had 4 physical office locations, and we decided to go fully remote, and it saved us, $30,000-$40,000 a month, which is significant. And so we also took a deep dive of our technology costs, and we switched our CRM from one CRM to the other, and we saved another $20,000-$30,000 total. And then we did a deeper dive of our personnel to make sure we were aligned there. So we really took a deep dive and were able to really maximize how we use our expenses to drive value to the business.
So what does bad data look like inside the company's financial system?
Yeah, bad data is useless, basically, right? It means you're making decisions on information that's not accurate, and it could be detrimental to your business. And so, bad data from an accounting and financial perspective means you don't have a process to close the books every month and get good financial reporting that you've developed and can trust and make decisions on, right? So you may get basic cash basis financial information from your bookkeeper, but are you able to use that to make decisions? Can you drill down and understand truly what the margins of your business are so you can make decisions to improve that? Or is it in your mind where, hey, man, I think my margins are 40-50%, that's good. That's a big delta, and there's opportunity to improve that. So, bad data is not having good processes to, depending on, it could be any form or fashion. It could be not only financial data, but sales, operational data. Do you have good processes that are defined, that you can trust, that you can get timely, accurate, relevant data?
So now you already, explained to us the information there about. So, but now the question I'm going to ask, the follow-up question is, how can they correct it? How can they improve the problem, the issue?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I think there's 2 things. One is, as a business owner or a CEO, take ownership of all aspects of your business. Meaning, one of the cardinal sins that I see is that a business owner starts a business, they start to see some level of success, and they say, hey, you know what, great, I'm going to hire a bookkeeper and the bookkeeper is just going to do their thing. I can keep doing this over here. Then I'm going to hire a salesperson and they're going to sell for me and I can keep doing this over here. And what ends up happening is it's not successful because those individuals, regardless of how good they are, they need leadership, structure, and they need oversight. And nobody is going to be good or as passionate about the business as the business owner, the person that started the business and or the CEO. And so the biggest thing I would say is as a business owner, know and learn all aspects of your business. You don't have to be an expert, but you do need to start to build and take an interest in and provide the oversight and support of the financial side of the business. Make sure you understand and develop a strategy from a sales and marketing perspective with KPIs that you can hold and metrics that you can hold your team accountable to. Otherwise, you're just putting money in, you're hiring people and you're hoping for the best. And hope, as we know, is not a strategy. We don't want to be crossing our fingers and just hoping it works out or hoping I hired the right person, right? That is a recipe for disaster. So how do we get away from that and say, okay, yes, I may have or may not have hired the right person. I did my best to bring in the expert that I feel is capable for the job. Now I have to manage that individual. And so managing that individual means setting expectations and making sure that that we can measure the results of what we're getting. On the financial side, it's making sure you have confidence that your accounting team has a good process to close, to obviously due to the day-to-day stuff, but close the books and get you good financial information in a nice package that you can review and make decisions off of. And if you don't have that, obviously, our firm, what we do as one of our services, we're a full service CPA firm, but what we also do is fractional and outsourced accounting. And we provide that leadership and that oversight of our client's existing team to make sure that they do have that leadership to ensure that they have good processes, they're closing the books, they're getting good financial reporting. And instead of hiring a very expensive controller or internal accountant to do a bunch of different things, we can provide that service on a fractional basis and a fraction of the cost and still get them good, valuable data.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. You made a very valid point. So I want us to follow to the next level because a lot of our listeners and subscribers send in some questions and most of them focus on cash flow. So if you look at cash flow issues, that's one of the biggest silent killers for any business. So what would you say is an early warning sign that all founders or entrepreneur or business owner should look out for?
I would say the first thing is you have to, understand your cash flow, right? So the first step is if you don't understand your cash flow, then you're having sleepless nights and you're concerned that maybe you can't make payroll because you're not sure if you're going to get paid by a client in time to make payroll and so on. The first step is let's make sure we have a process to understand historical cash flow, but then start to forecast our cash flow out. So the first thing that we want to do with every company we work with is build out a 13-week cash flow. So you're looking at cash flow in your cash, ins and outs of cash, what it looks like on a weekly basis and projecting that out over the next 13 weeks. And then every single week, we're updating that and we're extending it out another week. And that allows us to make better decisions, understand the payables that we have in the cycle, understand our customers and when they're going to be paying, understanding when we have to make payroll, when we have to pay rent. And so we can start to manage and move things around within that model to give us more confidence that we can manage our business effectively and maximize our cash flows. So that's one, is being able to forecast and see that. Then the second step is, now what can I do to improve that over a period of time? And that involves working with vendors to maybe extend payments or payment terms, work with our clients, or how we invoice our clients or collect, or the timing of payments, et cetera. So there's a large number of different strategies from a pricing and a collection perspective to maximize cash flows for a business that most businesses I don't think are taking advantage of.
All right. Yeah. So I was speaking to one of my clients a few weeks ago, and we were talking about, they had issues with pricing. They have a great price, but the problem is people prefer the other person's price, which is even higher, which they don't understand why people prefer that pricing. And their pricing is, cheaper than the other person. So what would you say is the role of pricing or the pricing mistake
Hmm.
that a lot of
Yeah,
business owners make?
yeah.
Hey, winners, as we continue our journey together today, I want to share something truly special with you. Over the years, I've had the privilege of coaching countless business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, guiding them to achieve breakthrough results and unlocking their full potential. So I'm opening up just 4 slots for my monthly business coaching program. That's right, 4 slots. After being fully booked for the past 3 years, if you're ready to elevate your business with personalized guidance, proven strategy, and a supportive community, I'm here to help you navigate challenges, refine your vision, and achieve your goals. So if you're committed to taking your business to the next level, I want to hear from you. Reach out to me directly at jay at winnercirclewithj.com and discuss how we can work together to build the future your business deserves. So don't wait. This is your moment. Join Winner Circle and let's embark on this transformative journey towards success together. And now let's dive back into today's episode.
A lot of times it's not about the price. What I don't like to do is compete on price. If I'm talking to a client and the first thing they ask me is, "What's your price?" then I know I'm competing on price and that's all they care about, right? And so the real question is, how do you separate yourself and the value that you provide through your product or service that separates yourself from somebody that you might consider a competitor? And then you can speak to that. And you don't have to speak to and compare yourself to a competitor, but you can really show the value that you have and that your business provides and provides to its clients, which is a which is ultimately what helps you to be successful and more profitable. So again, if you're just saying, "Hey, I'm cheaper," but they didn't go with me, it's because the buyer is sophisticated and they're not buying on price. And that's where, if you have a good process, if you have a good product or way to communicate the value of your product or service, you're able to raise your price and you're able to charge more than your competitors, and they'll still go with you because they see that value in what you offer. Especially if you can, long-term clients, they're willing to pay more than switching over to somebody else who they don't know, who they haven't worked with, because they see the value that you bring to them. Now you have to deliver on that value.
Wow, that's a very powerful information shared right there. And I know I'm going to ask 2 questions in one. And the first question focuses on when companies scale. Most companies, when they scale, they automatically start buying everything.
Mhm. Yeah.
So for you, what scaling decision do you think? And number 2, I want to also touch about the people, because the people cost is often the largest. Sometimes you can work remotely, which is good, right? But the thing is, the people, that means staffing mistakes drain finances, because there's some people you bring on board on your business and they're not even meant to be there in the first place, because they're just getting paid, but they're not really doing nothing. So how can businesses realign after they make this
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Understand your team, the personnel and employees you have. Make sure that their roles and responsibilities are aligned with not where you've been, but where you're going in the future. You may have some great employees that have been provided value up to this point, but now the business is different and maybe they're not a good fit in the future. And it'd be better for yourself and for them to recognize that and let them find another opportunity where they can continue to progress in their career. I think from a scaling perspective, scaling is about reinvesting and building the infrastructure for success. But as you mentioned, you want to make sure you're using those costs wisely. What I've seen, which is very successful these days, is leveraging outsourcing or fractional support. So for example, our service, as I mentioned before, instead of hiring a full-time controller for your accounting department, which could cost you 150 to 200 grand a year, you can leverage a fractional resource that provides not only the accounting and controller leadership, but also can fill in the gaps between the current team that you might have in place at a cost that's equal or less than what you may be looking to hire a controller for. Same thing from marketing, IT, HR, all of those services that build scale within an organization you can leverage outsourcing to support those. Now, the key when you have an outsourced provider is you still have to manage them. You can't, and even when you hire internally, and that's what I was talking about before, which is you can't just hire an outside marketing firm and say, go do your thing, and then you don't get results and then blame them that you didn't get results. It's a continuous process of collaboration and management of them to make sure that you're aligned and that you're tracking the right metrics to define success. And so that's what's critical. And what I hear a lot is, hey, we hired this firm and it didn't work. Well, it's because most of the time it's because there was lack of collaboration, there was lack of ongoing management oversight, working together as a team to ensure that you're meeting the expectations that you're looking for. And so that's probably the biggest thing from a scaling perspective is these days there's a lot of opportunities to outsource a lot of those types of services that creates flexibility in your pricing and limits your employee overhead as well.
Thanks for sharing that information. So if we look at businesses, they need financial tools. So as an expert in this field, what are the essential financial tools, or let me say dashboard, every business should have?
Yeah, so that can be, there's a lot that goes into that. If you're a smaller business, you might be using QuickBooks. If you're a little bit larger, you might be using something like NetSuite. There's outside tools that can integrate with a QuickBooks and or a NetSuite, starting with Fathom or Reach Reporting we use quite a bit, which integrates and allows us to drive good monthly financial reporting and build out KPIs and dashboards, et cetera. There's also what we leverage quite a bit is Microsoft Power BI. That gives you real-time insight into what's happening within your business from a not only financial, but other aspects of your business as well, sales, marketing, et cetera. You can leverage Power BI to pull data and customize dashboarding within your CRM. If it's Salesforce, HubSpot, Dynamics, whatever it might be, you can pull financial data and build that out. But at a minimum, I think it's important that you're getting from a financial perspective, you're getting your basics, you're getting your balance sheet and your income statement, but then you're digging deeper and you make sure that it's formatted in a way that you can dig deeper. And where you can start to identify what are the key metrics that define success. So if cash flow is important and you're trying to improve your cash flow over time, you want to understand what my average days outstanding in AR is, or what my sales outstanding is. Meaning, if I can reduce that number, I know that I'll be improving my cash flow. Those are simple things, right? The other is, let's make sure I understand what is my margin every single month. If I'm doing my accounting effectively and appropriately, I should be able to see trends, and I should be able to make decisions to improve upon that over time as well. What is my margin? How do I break it down if I have different products? What is the margin from a product by product perspective? That allows me to then determine, okay, which products are more profitable than others? Which should I be pushing more than others in the marketplace? How do I maximize profitability based on the blend of products or services that I might have? And so those are some of the basics. Is if you can start with a basic balance sheet and income statement, you can start to then look into and start making decisions and start building out a KPI or key performance indicator dashboard for real basic information. If you're a service-based company, what we track religiously is the utilization of our team, the realization of or the profitability on a client-by-client basis, write-offs. Do we have write-offs? Do we not have write-offs, and why? And then ultimately the margin that goes in that as well. So really depends on the type of business that you are. Those metrics, along with your 13-week cash flow forecasting report, will make a huge difference in your business.
I thank you for sharing. So as we begin to round up, I want to ask, for companies struggling with visibility, where should they begin?
Yeah, if it's financial visibility, it's, understanding what system are you using? What's your team? Are you just using a bookkeeper? Have you outgrown the sophistication of that bookkeeper? A lot of times companies have somebody that just doesn't have the sophistication to produce the right visibility for the business owner to make decisions. That's not the fault of the bookkeeper. They just don't have that experience. So you're at a point now where you need to surround that bookkeeper with the right talent. And you have a couple options. One is you can replace the bookkeeper with somebody else who does everything, which I don't recommend, because somebody that has more skill set or talent or is more sophisticated is likely not going to want to take a job where they're doing all the lower level stuff too. You can now, if you may have grown and you now need to hire a controller or maybe a CFO, that can be expensive, especially for a small business. Maybe there's not 40 hours a week of CFO or controller type work. You can bring in an outside consultant, or you can hire a firm or bring in a firm like an outsourcing firm like ours that can give you the value or the skill set and the sophistication at the highest level, collaborate with your existing team, with you as a client and a company owner, a business owner, a CEO, fill in the gaps, take ownership of success of accounting, and make sure that you have good processes to produce good data and good information. Work with the finance function of the business to say, hey, this is the reporting I need. This is when I want to see it. At a minimum, you're getting monthly reporting. If you're setting up different dashboards, maybe you're getting certain real-time reporting. You have maybe some forecasts in there as well. So it's customized based on your business and what you need to see to be able to make decisions. And that is, ultimately to achieve goals and scale and grow and take your business to the next level. It's going to be critical, because you can get so far running the business in your head or without good information, good financials, or just kind of knowing what's going on. But to truly maximize a business, to be able to exit or sell or grow or maximize profits, you have to know your numbers so you can ultimately make decisions to improve them.
You have to know your numbers. That's very important. Yeah.
Sounds
So,
simple, but it's not that easy, I guess, right?
I know. And for you, if you look at it this way, what's one long-term strategy that you would advise business to maintain financial clarity as they begin to grow?
I want to take a moment to highlight a fantastic opportunity for you. So if you are eager to elevate your business and gain new insights, I want to say look no further than Point of View Consulting, New York. Point of View Consulting, they specialize in helping organizations unlock their full potential. They have expert coaching services and they have expert consulting services. Not only will they just work with you, they will work closely with you to identify challenges. They will help you set actionable goals and implement effective strategies for sustainable growth. So here's the exciting part of the story. Point of View Consulting is offering a free consultation for all listeners of the Winner Circle podcast. That's right, no string attached. Plus, for any of their services you choose thereafter, you can enjoy a 30% discount on their service fee when you use the promo code Winner Circle Podcast. So whatever the thing you want them to do, whether it's change management, operational development, whatever the thing is, the services you want them to do, they're going to give you 30% discount on the service fee if you use the promo code Winner Circle Podcast. Whether you're a startup laying your foundation or an established business seeking innovative strategies, Point of View Consulting has the expert strategy to guide you every step of the way. I want to say, don't miss out on the chance to gain a fresh perspective and transform your challenges into opportunities. I want you to visit www.pointofviewconsultinginc.com to book your free consultation today. Remember, your business success starts with a fresh perspective. Go ahead and use the code Winner Circle Podcast and let Point of View Consulting help you thrive. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah. A lot of times it's the business owner, the CEO, the executive team, it's important, one, that they educate themselves on financial information. And it's not always about just the income statement. or the P&L. It's the balance sheet. The balance sheet truly tells you the health of the business. It tells you if if you have a lot of liabilities or debt on the books and limited assets, I mean, the business is probably struggling. And so understand the balance sheet, understand the importance of the balance sheet, understand the P&L, understand how to read financial information, educate yourself. So that's number one. Number two is making sure you have the sophistication internally to achieve the results. And I know a lot of business owners, they want to cut, they want the cheapest option. They're like, I just need somebody to pay the bills and invoice. And then they expect them to do all this other stuff, like get them good financials. Well, the top talent is very expensive. And so if you want good financial information, you have to pay for it, but you don't need to necessarily go and hire a $200,000 employee. There are other ways to do it from a more flexible approach. And so that's where I think the outsourcing model has grown and improved over such a large period of time, is it fills that gap between having to hire a full-time, very expensive and sophisticated person and having the bookkeeper you've always had that's lower cost, but can't get you the information you need now to move your business forward. And so it fills that gap very nicely, provides the leadership, fills the gap within the monthly close process, provides support for the bookkeeper and the rest of the team so they can be successful, and allows them to take on new challenges and grow in their career as well. Most businesses, when they get started and up to, I'm even up over 10 million, I had companies even large up to 30, 40, 50 million in some cases, are leveraging, QuickBooks Online tends to be, the most user-friendly and cost-effective, and it's a pretty good product. So that's kind of your foundation of accounting if you're getting started. Once you're transitioning away once you're getting to have a little bit more complexities, maybe you have inventory and some other things, you're probably transitioning to something like a NetSuite, or a Microsoft Business Central, or there's some other products out there as well that are very good products. Web-based products are preferred, I would say, kind of the foundational side of things. But there's a lot of resources out there. Just even going and following what's happening in the accounting world is critical to your team, to your tax advisor, and to others within the business community that might be able to support you.
How best can they reach out to you?
Cooperman. So our website, citrincooperman.com. I'm happy to talk to any business owner. Reach out to me. It's Jason Kruger. You can find me pretty easily on LinkedIn. That's Kruger. And then if you want to email me, shoot me an email. I'm happy to talk to anybody as well. Love talking about business. Love talking with business owners. I started a business. I've been through that process. We grew it to about 75 employees. So I know the pain and suffering and everything that goes along with that. So feel free to shoot me an email at the letter J, Kruger, Kruger, at citrincooperman.com. And if I can provide some insight and some good information, I'm happy to do that. If I don't know an answer or no, I probably know somebody that does, and I'd be happy to introduce you to that right person.
All right. Thank you so much. And that brings us to the end of another powerful episode of the Winner Circle podcast. I want to say thank you to Jason Kruger for joining us and shedding light on the hidden costs that quietly drain businesses and how leaders can finally uncover them and take control. From breaking down the subtle ways companies lose money to revealing how intentional reporting, accurate data, and financial visibility can transform performance. All the information shared today is valuable, and I want you to make sure you watch this episode all over and all over again to understand all the things we shared today. And if you have any questions, you can send me an email, or you can also send a message to Jason Kruger on LinkedIn. He said it already, that you can always send him a DM, and you will take it from there. And you can also connect with us on social media and share your favorite moment or questions from the episode. We always love hearing how this discussion inspire you to strengthen your business and also elevate your leadership. So I want to say once again, thank you for tuning in to the Winner Circle podcast today. Remember, Stronger businesses, smarter decisions, and long-term success start with clarity, discipline, and informed action. And until next time, I'm your host, Jay Adewole, encouraging you to take control of your numbers and build a business that thrives. Thank you so much, guys. All right, so thank you so much, Jay.